Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is the creator of the proggy, funky, defiant rock band. Hats off, gentlemen, it's adequate. Please welcome Malcolm Galloway. Hello, Malcolm.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming on. I love your music. We'll get that out of the way right now.
Thank you very much.
It is it's not like anything I've really listened to. It's people have to hear it to understand what I'm talking about. And once they do, they'll understand. And now that I know a little bit of your background, because we talked before the interview, I know why there's all these big words that I'm going to have a hard time saying because you're a part-time physician, correct?
Yes.
Okay, as well as a band member. Now, basically, tell me your journey. I know that you started playing when you were in school, and now you guys are, I mean, you're everywhere. And also, you've got some colleagues, like your wife, Catherine.
Yeah.
She plays the flute. Mark Gatlin is bass.
Yeah.
Rudy Burrell is drums.
Yeah.
And let's see if I say this right. Ibon Biloba?
You call
Bilboa.
him Bilbao?
Okay.
Yeah.
He's guitar. You guys are based in London. And yeah, you have 3 albums out now so far?
Yep. That's
Okay.
right. Three.
All right. So yeah, basically tell me your story, Malcolm.
Well, at school I learned the tuba. That was my sort of classical instrument. Um, and the other instruments I play are just really self-taught by ear. But the tuba, that was my classical instrument that I could read and play properly. And then after school, I got a bit distracted with being a doctor for a while.
Yeah, that would be
Uh,
distracting.
yeah, and but then I suppose about 5, 7, something like that years ago, I went down to 3 days a week because of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, genetic collagen disorder, which made sitting at a microscope increasingly painful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a neuropathologist, which is largely looking down microscopes at diseased brain and muscle and nerve tissue, and I had to cut back on that, and then thought at that stage that I could either just take largely to my bed and give up, or use this as an opportunity to get on with doing some of the things that I've wanted to do for a long time that didn't involve sitting at a microscope. So I set myself as my first target that I wanted to release my first rock album in the first year of being cut down to 3 days a week, and that was an album, Invisible, which is about my experiences of having an invisible disability and chronic pain. Although I think the album is more fun to listen to than it sounds like it would be given the subject matter.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I know exactly where you're coming from. I have an
Mm.
invisible disease as well. I have RA. So, and that's why I'm not working. And I, same way, it was like either lie in my bed and feel sorry for myself or embrace the fact that I still had some living left and do this. So
Mm.
it feels like we're kindred souls right now.
Yeah.
Carry on though.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't always easy to keep not giving up, but I suppose that's what that album was largely about. And then the second album, When the Kill Code Fails, that was about, it was a science fiction story about artificial intelligence and about an artificial intelligence construct that is trying to come to terms with finding out that it isn't real and its memories are fake. And it's largely told from the viewpoint of that character.
Yeah, it's quite intense when I was reading it, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get Malcolm to describe this because I don't even know if I can say some of these words.
And then Broken But Still Standing, most recent album, is, again, it's a science fiction story. So all of them are sort of old-fashioned concept albums in a sense. The recent one is a story following human evolution, starting off with uh, the whole thing is about symbiosis. So organisms making something better by coming together. So it's got it's got quite a positive message for an album that ends up with everybody on the planet dead by about 65 minutes in.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
Okay.
so it starts. For the first however many billion years, well, our planet for the first few billion years didn't have much going on, and then we have about a billion years or so of single-celled organisms, basically just slime, not doing anything particularly interesting, and then life really starts to kick off when what became our mitochondria went into another bacteria, and rather than trying to eat each other, had a more constructive relationship, and that allowed the emergence of complex multicellular organisms that eventually gave rise to us, and then about how cooperation between people then allowed us to develop societies and division of labor, and then eventually it goes to artificial intelligence is initially the humans and the AIs not getting on, but ending up with a happy ending as the AIs intend to resurrect the humans from their DNA after Mars has been terraformed. So they're building towards that in a few million years' time.
Wow, okay, like that's a crazy, 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 crazy imagination. And I mean, obviously, all your skills as a doctor and doing what you did combined. So, okay, the first one is invisible, and it's about invisible diseases, which both of us have.
Yeah.
The second one is called When the Kill Code. Is it When the Kill Code Fails?
Yeah, when the kill code fails.
And
so
that,
it's basically about so somebody's there's a ransomware type virus made by someone who intends to switch it off with a viral kill code, but that fails, and so then technology gets knocked back, and it ends up with the artificial intelligence construct who then finds out that that's what he is, who ends up, despite that, saving the world by fighting the out of control virus. So they've all had surprisingly happy endings for.
I'm still just blown away. You should write a book. Never mind. I mean, your music is amazing, and so are the songs. But just listening to you, you should like those sci-fi books. You should seriously look into that. Now, also, Steve Hackett from Genesis recommended When the Kill Code Fails, and it was Beastie's rock show progressive album of the year.
Yes, we're delighted with those. Steve Hackett was extremely supportive. He'd heard the album and he got in touch with kind comments that he allowed us to use as a. Well, it certainly very much helps open doors and get people listening. He's certainly such an amazingly influential, innovative musician.
Yeah.
And then we've been very fortunate with some of the support we've had from radio stations, and Beastie's rock show has been particularly supportive.
Well, yeah, I mean, like your video of While I Still Can won the runner-up prize in the 2012 London 48-hour music video competition.
Yeah, that was a fun project. So it was a competition where bands got randomly paired up with directors and have a weekend to make essentially a no budget music video, and then the what was made then got shown in a cinema, and there was a judging panel, and we were very fortunate to be runners up in that, and then it got picked up by quite a few TV stations around the world. So
74, yeah, including channels in the UK, Canada, South Africa, and the US.
Yeah, we're very grateful for that support from around the world.
Yeah. Now you were also shortlisted for Radio Wigwam's Single of the Year award, and you were finalists in Radio Australia's award in the best album and best producer categories.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly very gratifying to be to have people like what you're doing, and it's nice that it's in several different areas of because I produce their albums as well as do most of the writing and most of the playing and singing. So yeah, I was very pleased with all
Yeah.
those.
Now let's talk about the latest album. Your children, James and Ethan,
Yes.
they did backup vocals, spoken word and
Mm.
backing vocals. Now James co-wrote two of the tracks.
Yes. So one of them he wrote the chords and the keyboard part, and that was the beginning basis of the track, and then I built the rest around it. That was All Alone Together, which has now become one of our favourite ones for playing live. That's a particular favourite for me from the album. I find that quite an emotional one performing live.
Wow.
Also, it's only got three chords. That's quite nice.
I
I don't have to think too much about the guitar part, so I can just try and focus on remembering the words, which is something I normally have a problem with. And then the other one that he was involved in writing on this album was Almost Familiar, which he co-wrote the lyrics with me. So we were walking by the beach in southwest Wales about a year and a half ago. I remember us discussing some of these lyric ideas, and he came up with some nice phrases. And I was like, oh no, we should definitely put that in a song. And then we worked on the song lyrics, and then by the time we'd finished the walk, we had the lyrics for the song done, and in our minds with the music. And
okay, how old is James?
James is now 11. Yeah.
And Ethan?
Ethan is 8.
Wow.
So, I mean, James had written one of the songs on the first album. That was when he was 5 or 6, I think.
Wow.
But it was a bluesy one. It was very sweet. It's nice. I like playing songs that my kids have written.
Yeah, no kidding.
Special.
Now, is that something that they're looking like? I mean, he's only 11, so I mean, he can't say what he wants to do for his future as of yet, but at least he's getting, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want my children to go into the industry. It scares me. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, at least he's got some kind of experience if he ever decides that he does want to do that.
Well, I think both of them, whatever they want to do, as long as as long as they're happy.
They're happy, yeah.
I would support it. But yeah, our younger one said to me a few weeks ago, "Oh, it's very bad that you haven't yet started work on the next album." I said, "Well, the new ones haven't yet even come back from the factory. I mean, it's a tiny break, because I also write classical minimalist music as well. So I mean, it's my 7th album in 4 years, 5 years.
Oh wow!
So I think I've been reasonably productive. That seemed a bit harsh to be that I wasn't out 2 weeks off, but no, fair enough. Back to it. No, I must admit I do feel uncomfortable when I'm not
Doing something. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's so, I mean, when I talk about children in future, and invisible diseases, my grandson has ADHD. And his goal is, well, number one, he is amazing at football, and he's already been kind of scouted, so we're kind of like, because he's only 12. Well, he'll be 13 next month. But he wants to work with children that have the same problems as him. And my granddaughter wants to be a pediatrician. And I'm crossing my fingers that continues throughout their life, but we'll see. It's so scary when you think of them, going off into the world, especially the world the way it is today. Now, you guys perform at leading London venues, and you regularly put on charity gigs. You've got one for Save the Children, Cancer Research UK,
Hmm.
Marie Curie Cancer Care, and
Yeah.
I cannot say the name of your disease properly.
Ehlers
Ehlers-Danlos
Danlos. Yeah.
Support. Okay, and also Brain Tumor UK. And you also have been, you talked to me about another one, Saving the Rainforest?
Yeah. Well, now that we've sorted out cancer and all that kind of stuff, we thought we'd better move on. No, obviously I'm joking. There's still a fair bit to do with to finish off with the curing cancer side of things, but uh, we uh, on Valentine's Day we are having a sort of alternative Valentine's night event fundraiser for World Land Trust, which buys up bits of rainforest to stop them being chopped down, basically. And it's Hats Off Gentlemen, it's Adequate and Friends, so us and a bunch of other friendly bands that we like will be
Performing as
performing.
well.
Yeah,
Wow, that is so cool. Anything to save the, I mean, our world, period. But yeah. Now, well, gosh, what was it? Oh, yes, the name of your band.
mm,
Now, when I went to search your website, I came up with Hats Off, It's Adequate, or Genius, or I can't even remember what came up. And it was a poem or something. Like, is that where you got your name?
Um, there was a phrase, I keep forgetting which way around it was. I think it was Schumann about Brahms or the other way around, something like that, where he published reviews saying "Hats off, gentlemen, a genius," and then just the image in my mind was of Victorian gentlemen throwing their hats up in the air and saying "Huzzah" about something being adequate. I'm quite self-deprecating. I quite like that kind of, I suppose, English style of undermining yourself.
You are an enigma. I'm just gonna tell you right now, like you're just an enigma. You were a doctor, I mean,
Right?
practicing and you're like looking through microscopes and all,
Yeah.
and now you are a singer-songwriter and producer in this alternative rock band, which is also you, like you said, it's bluesy. It's everything. You guys encompass everything, and it's just, I mean, when you look at doctors, you just don't think, right, that they would have an interest outside of being a doctor in rock music or anything like that. And just to hear you talk is just, I don't know, you're just an enigma, which is awesome because I love those. um, Now, your wife, who
Yes.
plays the flute on some of your tracks,
Yes.
does she have any hand in writing or anything like that?
Well, she's professionally a classical flute player, so that's her full-time job. And um, but she does agree to play on some of our tracks. And when we get childcare sorted, sometimes plays live with me as well.
Oh,
Though we usually take it in turns to go out and gig.
ah,
Uh, in terms of practicalities, but
mm-hmm.
she I'm hoping that she'll be more involved in writing for the next album. She certainly uh, was involved in co-writing some of the tracks for the previous one. Um, the current one, the Broken but Still Standing, as was Mark, the bassist. So it's been a bit more collaborative, the recent album, than the previous ones,
The
which I
previous ones, yeah.
prefer. I like it not just. I'm not a control freak. I mean, maybe a lack of control freak. I quite like the idea of there being these interactions to come up with things that I wouldn't have come up with on my own, or vice versa. Um,
Uh-huh. Well, I think it's cool that your kids are involved and your wife. It's like a family affair. It's just, I love it. And I mean, obviously, Ethan is looking forward to the next album so he can help co-write. Are they going to
yeah.
be on the next album as well? I mean, I guess it's just depending on them, right?
Well, I very much hope so. I mean, it's. I mean, um, I mean, I'm the way that we record. I was once quite amused that a review said, "Oh, there's all this flashy, high-end production values, but is there anything beneath this flashy surface?" And I think, well, it's not really that flashy. It's me on a laptop, which crashes every 20 minutes, and this is not done in a recording studio. This is,
Done at
all
home, yeah.
DIY, and so it's a question of being squeezed in as and when people are available, and which of my colleagues I can get in the room at that particular
At the
time.
time, yeah.
Mark and I, bass player, collaborate very closely on the stuff. He co-produces, and we bounce ideas between each other on Dropbox and build up some of the tracks that way.
Cool. I can hear you about the computer issues.
That does get a bit frustrating.
A bit
and
frustrating? It's not even, it's just, I'm not a control freak, but if I can't do something because something's not working, it is the most frustrating thing in the world because I know I'm working and I know what I want to do.
I wasn't meaning that I like it when I get equipment failure. I was meaning in terms of, creative control. I quite like having the unpredictable things of somebody bringing an influence that I wouldn't have thought of, and then us coming up with something different rather than just the computer crashing, which I want to find so positive.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you were talking about, but I get you with, just having your kids come up with lyrics, and that just blows my mind. Now, if you had any advice to give anybody that's starting out in this business, especially because your children are kind of involved, and you've been doing this for a while, what kind of advice would you give them, Malcolm?
Do it if you love it, and make the music you want to listen to.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice. Don't make that. There's so many cookie cutters out there right now where everybody's trying to copy everybody. And it's like, variety is kind of good. I don't want to hear the same kind of songs, time after time after time after time. But I think the industry is slowly starting to change. And indie music is getting embraced a heck of a lot more, which is so good because then you get the variety. What 2 songs are we going to hear from you?
So we've got Almost Familiar and Anywhere. So these 2 quite contrasting tracks, one quite proggy, and the other more punchy, I suppose.
Yes, and Almost Familiar is the one that James helped write.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he co-wrote the lyrics for that one.
That is so cool.
And it's got a big flute solo in it.
So it is a big family affair, that song. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on my show. I definitely want to thank you about talking about invisible illnesses and how you had to cut down to part-time. I don't have the same thing as you, but I can only sit for so long. And then my joints start seizing, and then I'm useless. And then I flare. And so it's nice to know that, it's not nice to know, but it's kind of comforting to know that other people kind of know what I'm talking about when I talk about invisible disease, because they look at you, you look fine, and they're thinking, right, you're sick. And it's like, oh God, just live in my body for an hour. You'll know what I'm talking about. I'm glad you decided to, pursue some other dreams besides being a doctor and get into music, because like I said, I absolutely love your music. Listening to you talk about writing the songs is just fascinating, and I'm serious, you should write a book. I am dead serious because I would read it. So thank you so much. Everybody can buy your music online. They can also go to your website, hatsoffgentleman.com. That's going to be up on my website. People just have to click it, and it links right to your website, so they can go there, find out more about your fascinating life, because I think you are absolutely fascinating, and listen to more of your music. And I urge everybody to do that, because it's nothing like you've really heard, and I love it. It's just different, and it's catchy, and you're just gonna fall in love like I did. So anytime you want to come back on to talk about anything, even if you want to come on and talk about invisible diseases and stuff like that, I would love that.
Oh, I'm happy to do that. I do various educational thing. I mean, I'm a medical school teacher as well, and one of the areas that I do try and deal with is raising awareness of invisible disabilities.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I'm always happy to talk to that kind of about that kind of thing.
Good. We'll talk about that after, because yeah, I'd love you to come on because it's one of the most frustrating things in my life is people looking at me, and I've lost a whole bunch of weight, and I look better than I ever have.
Mm.
And it's like, yeah, well, it's not because of the disease. It's because I got rid of the dingbat men. But they look at me and think, well, you look great. There's nothing wrong with you. Why can't you work? And it's just, ugh. Anyway,
Mm.
um, thank you for coming on and sharing your story with me. Like I said, this is one of the most fascinating interviews I've had. Just listening to you talk
Oh,
about
thank you.
writing the songs is amazing, and having your family involved is awesome. And like I said, anything new comes up, let me know, because you can come back on. Any new singles, I'll throw up on my website, and I definitely want to schedule an interview to talk about invisible diseases.
Sure,
So now
that'd be lovely.
I've got you live on air, saying not live, but you know what I mean. I'm holding you
Absolutely,
to
no
your
problem
word.
at all.
No, I'm joking. Um, you guys have a great day. I know your kids and your wife are kind of floating around. Tell them I say hi, and tell them to
Okay.
keep doing what they're doing, especially tell them to keep writing songs.
Okay. Thank you very
And
much.
yeah, take care.
Well, thanks very much for having me.
And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website because you never know, along with me, what kind of surprises you're going to find in my attic. Cheers.